and it's my day and I can do whatever I want. And whether that's completely doing nothing and time off and you're going to sit and read a book and see what ideas come. You still have the freedom to do any variation on this, but keep in mind that what gets scheduled is what gets done. And so you still have to have a foundation and a commitment and an agreement with yourself and those around you that you work with so that the friction ceases and things actually get done.
Fabulous person, Beate Chelette here, the Growth Architect. Welcome back to the Business Growth Architect Show, where we bring you cutting-edge business strategies from some of the world's most successful entrepreneurs, business transformation experts, and visionaries who want to help you to scale your impact. Look for one tangible strategy that you can take back and implement right away. And now back to our guest. Hello and welcome to the Business Growth Architect Show. I am your host, Beate Chelette, the Growth Architect herself, and I have a pretty interesting person here today on the show, and his name is Erik Fisher. And I'm not going to give anything away because I'm going to put the spotlight right on Erik right away and say, Erik, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then we dive into the strategy piece. Go ahead.
Perfect. Awesome. Yeah. Great to be here. First off, I am Erik Fisher. I have been in the online space since probably around 05, 07, somewhere in there when I first got inklings of podcasting being a thing, got super interested into it. And that was also at the same time as social media was coming along. And so slowly but surely, I became a social media manager, have done that for years in various roles, as well as a podcaster now in various co-hosting opportunities, but then started my show about productivity called Beyond the To-Do List, and it will be 10 years old next year. So
unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you a little bit about this because the title, and I know your show is extremely successful. So Beyond the To-Do List, I mean, aside that everybody who listens to this needs to go and subscribe to your podcast immediately, but tell us a little bit about what is it with productivity and you? Why even go there?
Yeah, well, I mean, it came out of interest in figuring out how to systematize and create a scaffolding that I could build upon and have some sort of structure to make sure that I would get things done. And turns out as an adult, I realized, especially looking backwards and getting diagnosed with ADHD. And so suddenly it was like, oh, I get it. This is why I always can focus on the wrong thing at the wrong time. It's not that I can't focus. It's that I always have other things that are pulling my attention and I can uber drill into them and focus on them, but it's not the thing at the time that I need to be doing. And so it's, picking up the tips and tricks of the trade in terms of productivity and having dialogue with people. That was the thing that really, honestly, it was free coaching for, that's what podcasting ended up being for me and turned into much more than that. It's just being able to talk with interesting people and learn from them. And then have an audience that wants to sit in on that coffee side. The audience is the next coffee table over from me and my guest sitting there just talking.
Yeah, I really like what you say, because I think sometimes, especially in the internet marketing space, if I hear one more time, in only 3 hours a week, you make an extra $10,000 by doing absolutely nothing. I mean, you're rolling your eyes. That's kind of me too. I mean, I call that BS. So I always find that it is sometimes so demoralizing, right? So we only see the salon version of everything. And then people, that are normal people go at this and say, well, this sounds amazing and I'm buying into the dream. And then they fail miserably because a lot of times people don't tell them the truth, is that there's a messy middle and it's a lot of work. And yeah, we get to work 3 hours a week, maybe when we're on vacation, but until or after we sold the business. But while we're in it, it's completely different. So productivity and to-do lists, right? And so this show here is really about strategies. So what I liked about you and why I wanted you to be on the show is because you have this unique combination out of a opportunity, a different ability, because it means that you can laser focus on a lot of things, and your mind, pops around. you get a lot of stuff done, but sometimes it can get a little overwhelming. So you yourself must have strategies. So let's talk about what's one of the favorite strategy that you have learned or that you use or that you want to share with our
Yeah.
audience.
I will say that even if you don't have ADHD, you probably have a lot of distractions and a lot on your plate and a lot going on that will pull you out of the moment when you're trying to get a specific thing done. And ultimately, I mean, isn't that what we're all trying to do, is get the stuff that we said we would do done, whether that's it was delegated to us or it was that we delegated it to ourselves. So one of the things that I have found to be the most helpful, and I don't have it right here because I was using it earlier, but is to have a non-digital notepad and pen on hand at all times. There you go. That I can put, that if I'm in a focus mode and I am working on something and then something just keeps coming up inside my head, like, hey, do this, or hey, you're forgetting to work on this. One, working through and doing all the homework of, okay, I know what I'm supposed to be doing and everything else, get out of my head. We can go down that road if we want to talk about that. But the quickest and simplest thing is to have that notebook and to be able to pull it over and write down, I don't know, let's say, let's use one of the most mundane things, pick up milk, right? Super easy, has nothing to do with what I'm doing. It's not even a work related thing, but it wants to be. It wants to distract me. It wants my attention. Just to write that down and say, okay, I see you, and now's not the time. And then to push the notebook back away again. And that voice that is saying, hey, pick up milk, don't forget, feels heard. And so then it'll probably try to think of a couple more things, whether that's, but I got you. Here, don't forget to buy tickets for that show or whatever it is, and I write it down and I put it away again. And by doing that and putting it out of sight, and by the way, one of the things to definitely do during those times is to not have your phone and to have all the things, if you're sitting at a desktop or a laptop, having all the bells and whistles turned off so that you can just focus on what is at hand. What is the task that you've set to do at hand? And one, block out calendar time. And then two, turn off all interruptions possible.
I like that a lot. So it's almost like it's counterintuitive because you are in social media, right? So everything that you do is online and scheduled and a short blurb. I mean, and that in itself is the biggest distraction ever invented on the planet. So you, as the guy who uses as professionally to, disrupt other people's lives and get their attention, right? So you were saying that the easiest way for you is, as a productivity tool, is to say, shut it all off, focus on a period of time. How long is a period of time that you usually focus? Is it 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour? What do you usually pick?
I would say no shorter than a half an hour. Often I will say, it depends on what the task is. If it's like a report and I know I need more time, it's going to be a good hour at least. Some things I'll say, okay, here's a half hour. And by the way, I will put that on my calendar so that, especially so that work colleagues can't claim that time from me. And I will just say, I am busy, out of office, or focus time. Google Calendar actually discovered this. It has something called focus time. And people can know, oh, he is working on something at that time, and I can't schedule a meeting with him. Great. So
I didn't even know that.
yeah.
So on Google Calendar, there's a function that will allow you to schedule focus time.
Yeah, if you go into the Google Calendar on the desktop, I don't know if you can get to it through the app, but there's like out of office, there's busy, there's something else, but there's one called focus or focus time. I forget which it is. Mm-hmm. And you just select that tab and people will know that that's what's going on. So
I love that. I love that a lot. So in the, I want to dig a little bit deeper in this now. So, as you see, I actually, I've been interviewed on a podcast by a woman who does refocus. And so she's ADHD and so is her son. So she's created these to-do lists and notepads for people that have concentration challenges. Let's put it this way, myself included. And so I very much like you. I like the idea is when it pops into your head, you put it on paper. So what is the idea about putting it out of your head and on paper? Is there any psychology, any neuroscience behind this? Would you mind to tell our audience a little bit more about why that is so important?
Yeah, well, I mean, for a long time, when like, for example, the Kindle came out and people were reading books digitally and on iPads and screens, there was, for a while there, this fear that, oh no, paper books are going to go away. I have always preferred paper books. And there is a reason. And I can't go like, here's the link to it, but I've come across it many times by people that I trust, as well as seen it myself, that it is proven that you actually retain more information if you're reading something physical versus something digital. It's just true. That's just the way it is. And so it depends on what it is. Like, I mean, I'm not saying, oh no, stop using digital for you honestly can't. Like, we're there. Like, you just can't. However, it works the same way with the connection between something tangible in your hand and something that you are creating and writing. Your brain is making a connection in an analog way versus a digital way. It makes a deeper connection. It acknowledges that that is captured, and it then says, okay, thank you. You heard me. I appreciate it. I don't know that it's not the language doesn't actually happen like that, but that's the feeling. That's the essence of what is going on versus me typing it into a to-do list. And I suppose me typing it into my to-do list could digitally could appease that to a bit, but then I'm opening up the door just a little bit digitally to more distraction coming at me, because as I go to write that down, I might see something else. And so it's better for me to stay in my lane right here and focus and type or read or move, crunch the data, depending upon, if I'm creating a report or a slide deck or, whatever it is. In fact, even spending time on social media can be a focused activity. Some people will be shocked to start to correlate that. But what I do is when I'm going in to do social work, it is either to create posts and then set them up to be scheduled to go, or whether this is personal or it's professional or both, or go to actually engage and be fully present and go through certain like Twitter lists or Facebook friends or LinkedIn accounts and actually pay attention to what's being posted, actually engage with it, and have it be like it's actually a social conversation. So, but to push that away, to get that out of your head, that's it. As you do that, like if you try it once, it might be hard, but over time, it's gotten easier and easier for me to just, nope, okay, got that, thank you, put it away. And in fact, it gets to the point where your brain actually stops bringing those things up as much because of two reasons. Number one, it knows that it's not going to get it knows it's not going to get what it wants. In other words, like it's like training your kids not to interrupt you during Zoom calls, right?
Yeah.
One and two. Actually, that's a great metaphor. I actually should use that. Here, let's walk with this a little bit.
Yes, go ahead.
Let's treat it like it's a kid. Like let's treat your brain like it's a kid, and you're about to go on a Zoom call. So number one, you set up the expectations ahead of time. Then you shut the door, you hang the sign, you do all the alarms and all the bells and whistles that you need to signal, I am not interruptible right now, right? Then, ideally, they've been trained what to do if something comes up and they do need your help, to text you. Again, probably you should be in Do Not Disturb and not receive that text. But it's about ahead of that focused block time, setting up all the boundaries, as well as setting up the expectation internally and externally so that those boundaries stay in place.
I really like this because, I mean, we know that there is an aspect of it where it's keeping the commitments to yourself. So that's a psychological issue and a confidence issue. When you keep breaking your commitments, that you don't do what you said you were going to do, we know that it has an effect of low self-esteem and lower productivity. So I want to dig in a little bit more into this part where you say sort of these parameters of of expectations. So when you set up these parameters of expectations, are we tricking ourselves? Are we tricking our brain functions? Or what are we tricking?
Well, it's not necessarily tricking. It's more that you're agreeing that I will I will I will get you your answer, or I will fix your problem at a certain point in time once I'm done. Let me finish my thing first and then you get your thing. It's by setting a boundary, it's like having a relationship where you're on the same page. And so through certain rituals, certain routines, morning routines, evening routines, and doing your homework, in other words, is what I often refer to this as. If I already know what I've got to do for the day and I've scaled it back to a manageable amount and allow for windows of time where other people's priorities that come up as emergencies on their part that hopefully aren't emergencies on mine, but I am involved in the process and have
Mhm.
really no choice and I have to step in and help, then yeah, I can get everything I wanted to get done, and I can be a cooperative partner with those other people.
So
So,
yeah, so your strategy includes stuff for the unseen. So
yes.
you actually schedule that?
What I will do, well, I don't know that I schedule it per se. It's that I schedule the time for me to make sure I get my stuff done and I scale it like on my, so for example, today, I had 3 specific things that I need to get done.
Mm.
And so far, I've gotten 2 of them done. And I also knew that I was going to be talking with you. So that is definitely a thing on my calendar. I have another time block later today that is set for that third thing. And the rest of the time is either admin work or a pocket of time that is meant for me to pull the list from earlier today, which is why it's not sitting here, because I was already clearing it off. I went through it and was like, oh, well, that's a 2-minute thing. Let me do that real quick. Or, oh yeah, I forgot that email that I had thought of while I was working in focus time and I didn't have time to do it then. I went and did it afterwards. So it's kind of a residual. It's like cleaning the kitchen up after you've done, after you've not just made the food, but eaten the food and brought the dishes back to the kitchen. Now it's the cleanup time. So
Okay. So it's like from beginning to end, it's the entire task. It's
yes.
not just a portion of it. Next question. So to-do lists have a terrible habit of getting longer and longer and longer and longer. What do you say to someone that's very, very nice that you toss in manageable, but my list has 250 things on it. I'll never get it all done. How do you manage the overwhelm of just the sheer amount of tasks on a to-do list?
hmm this is where the phrase that I use, doing the homework, comes in, because what it does take is specific time. For me, it's often a Monday and a Friday at least half an hour, sometimes maybe an hour, where I will have that compartment of time. And actually, the Monday and Friday have 2 different purposes. Friday time is where I will lump all those 2 to 5 to 10 minute tasks that I don't really have time for anywhere else in the schedule very easily. Or if something just keeps getting bumped, it's like, okay, Friday's when that's going to happen, and I've got that hour, and that's when I'm just going to go through a productivity blitz and cross as many of those things off. But that's where that goes. So I know that I've got some pre-planned, protected time to take care of those things. And that's usually Friday morning, as I'm kind of
Mhm.
easing into Friday morning, so I can feel a good productivity boost from getting a lot done first thing on a Friday. What? Right? And then and then Friday, usually post lunch with a coffee to kind of perk back up, to kind of wind down the day, or round out the week, is when I will say, what does the next week, and let me take a peek at the rest of the month and into the next one. It's kind of forecasting. It's kind of, let's take stock. Where are we at? What are we doing? What do we need to do? what can I ask other people to do for me that I don't want to do or need to do? Maybe there's some trade-off, you know, and then that carries over and kind of closes out the week. And then Monday is a reopening of that, or a receiving of the baton that I passed to myself last Friday. So I will take another kind of morning time, like weekly kickstart, and I will pull open that macro plan again and say, and do a quick scan on the week and say, okay, I know I looked at this Friday. I'm looking at it again now that I've taken some time away from work, ideally, and re-look at it, revisit it, and say, oh, you know what? I was unrealistic in my expectations on Friday. I don't know what I was thinking. Let me start to rearrange some of these things. So it's about having it all collected and captured, but then also starting to get a sense of what is manageable and not overloading any single day, and having that wiggle room then to move something. Because if somebody that is in charge of you delegates something to you and you already have a full calendar that day, what are you going to do? Tell them no? Probably not. One of your things is going to drop. Well, you need to be able to move that elsewhere and procrastinate it on purpose.
I think that's an incredibly important thing. I think that I probably suffer from over scheduling myself, because I do so much client work in the course of a day. And then at the end of the day, somebody needs to do all the follow-up and do the notes and enter all the data, and then make sure that everybody's taken care of, that the new clients are getting their information. And next thing you know, it's like 8:30, and the whole thing kind of walked out the door. So one of the questions I personally actually have is that I see this a lot with my clients, Erik, where they go and they put on their to-do list fixed lead generation. Now, fixed lead generation are what? 60 different tasks. That is the landing page, the copy, the opt-in form, the analytics, the whatever. So what do you do when you have complex tasks that need to be scheduled out? I mean, realistically, should be scheduled out over a period of time. Do you break them down? What do you do?
Definitely breaking them down. And that this is where, kind of, I think of it as a project. When it's a much more macro level, long-term, individual component based task, it's not a task anymore. It's a project. And so in order for that project to be completed, you have to move it forward basically bit by bit. And sometimes it's you've done your part and now you're waiting on them you've sent something off and you're waiting to get it back. So the only thing you can do is make sure that you don't forget to check on when they're going to get you that deliverable. And so that's one of those 2-minute either Slack or email or whatever the best communication method is that you've set up. Having that be a task, that's fine. Having that be even part of a group of rapid fire tasks that you're going to do in a half hour. Again, that's one of those things where it's like, if you pull it all together and get in, communication mode, then that's what you do is you sit and take, that half hour. I mean, honestly, I could probably do, I think most of us could do with saying, I'm going to have a dedicated half hour a day where that's all I'll do. Sit and go, ask people, hey, any status update on this? And wait and see. And then maybe a part in the evening, not the evening, but like late afternoon or early afternoon, if you want to make sure that, you catch any, like they get back to you and it's a hiccup. It's like, oh yeah, we're working on it. Here's the hiccup. You don't want to do that right at the end of the day, because then you're suddenly stressing like, I wanted this 2 days ago and now it's not going to get to me for 3 more days. Come on, guys. It sounds like I have experience with this.
Just a tad, yeah.
Yeah, to be able to reply and nudge them and or give them information that maybe they're asking for as follow-up from you to make sure they get it right for you. So it's by having that segmented time where you can get into a single mode of, I'm going to do email, I'm going to see what comes, I'm going to make, and then vice versa, have a segmented time where I'm not looking to receive things, I'm literally looking to send things only. And by getting in those modes, you can do them much quicker, and you can actually get a lot more done in less time and be very efficient with it if you're not sporadically just sitting with your email tab or program open all day and sending and receiving and interrupting your own self and tripping over yourself as you're trying to get other things done. It's really, and a lot of people I know, they're thinking, but that's so regimented. Yes, but if you sit and think about it this way. If your kid's doing homework and they keep getting up from the table and walking away and doing other things, then of course their homework's taking 2-3 hours. What would you say to them? Sit and just get it, sit and focus and get at least one subject done, or get at least one assignment done. Then get up and take a break. Well, isn't that what would work for us too? So
You're absolutely correct. Actually, I think this is going to be the title of the show: "Stop tripping over yourself,"
nice.
because it is about that. The diligence. What I'm hearing you say is the diligence about getting clear about what is really distracting you. Stop making excuses as to why you always need to be online, on Slack, on email, always available. Be clear about your ability on what you realistically can handle in the course of a day. Schedule time for the unforeseen. Make sure that the pieces that you have in your calendar, that every day there's going to be something in that could be moved to a non-urgent follow-up day in case there's an urgent last-minute project coming in, and they always come in because somebody always has some sort of issue. And then the final question that I have for you is, with the, you just hinted on this. So now somebody's going to say, Erik, let's get real here. Being an entrepreneur, right? Being in business, being a leader is all about being in the flow and reacting and letting my intuition fly. What you're talking about is very rigid. Is it rigid?
It's rigid like a foundation is rigid.
Oh,
set
nice.
a foundation, and then you can be as flexible as you want to be, but you have got your own back because you've got a foundation to work with. And I would say, if somebody has a problem with this, set up all the rigidness at the time of day where, you don't often find yourself being creative. Do the admin tasks and the non-flexible stuff at that point in time. Set it up in the morning. And then in the afternoon, do whatever you want. Let the ideas flow. Go outside for a walk. Go meet somebody. Go, make your calls then. Go spend all the afternoon on social. If that's what you need to do to feel free, do it. Or vice versa. Spend the whole morning doing whatever. Just know you've got blocked out time in the afternoon. Or theme your days. Pick a specific day where you say, no one's allowed to pick a meeting with me that day, and it's my day, and I can do whatever I want. And whether that's completely doing nothing and time off and you're going to sit and read a book and see what ideas come. Or you still have the freedom to do any variation on this, but keep in mind that what gets scheduled is what gets done. And so you still have to have a foundation and a commitment and an agreement with yourself and those around you that you work with, so that the friction ceases and things actually get done.
Yeah, my daughter would call those free days doodle bopping days. And in growth architecture, the entire idea is that you have to have a blueprint and a good foundation.
Yes.
How you decorate the house, that is entirely up to your freedom. What you put on the walls, the furniture, the art, that is all the creativity and the freedom. But without the structure and without the system in place, nothing really can work. This has been absolutely fascinating. I like your ideas. I mean, I'm pretty big on productivity. One last question. What are your favorite productivity tools? You mentioned Slack. Are you using anything else?
I use something so this is also something that helps with the voice in your head. Yeah, I use something called Brain FM. You can find out more about that at beyondthetodolist.com/brainfm. It is music, sort of, that you listen to that helps with that fight or flight mechanism in your brain, and it gets your brain into a certain brainwave pattern.
Are those the theta waves?
Yes, it has to do with that. And so it will get your brain, like if you put your headphones in and you start, I like to put it in a little ahead of time. Like if I know I'm going to do a focused block of a half hour to an hour, I will start 5 to 10 minutes early, putting the headphones in and starting it up so that my brain is already getting into focus mode, so that I'm not wasting time, that when I sit down and actually start, I'm waiting to get there while pushing things around. I'm already there.
Interesting. Yeah. I there's a woman, Kelly Howell, that does that. And the first time I was listening to it, because it's like these weird, it's very strange, it's very different. Right. But what I was noticing, it felt like it's like massaging your brain,
Yeah. And this one has a variety of options, some that are just straight up classical music, some that are more towards jazz or even techno style, without being, too engaging to where it makes you want to get up and dance. But it makes you feel like you're engaging with something. It kind of pacifies a certain aspect of your brain that wants to look for distraction and says, no, we're good. We're good. You're good where you are.
I like that. I'll check that out. I'll make sure it goes in the show notes. So other than people going to your podcast and subscribing, where can they find more about you?
Yeah, I would say connect with me on Twitter. That's where I'm most active. There in Instagram, I guess. You can find me at both those places. My user handle is Erik with a K, ERIK, J, Fisher, FISHER.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you so much. And any last words you want to leave our audience with?
You can be more productive than you think you can, and it may take a little more effort at first, but overall, it's going to actually end up feeling much better. So you can do it.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
And that's it for us today. Thank you for listening and watching the Business Growth Architect Show. I enjoyed having you here. And for accountability, just take one of the strategies that you have heard, one thing that you can implement in your business immediately. Please leave comments. Don't forget to like and share this show. And if you have any questions about business, please put them in the comments. We are here for you. We're here to support you and help you to grow, build, and scale your own business. For more advice, please check out our website in the show notes below. Thank you again. This is Beate Chelette, the Growth Architect, and goodbye.